Alabama pulled out all the stops to beat Clemson 45-40 and win the national championship for the fourth time in 7 years on Monday. I'm Brian Clark at CineSport, headed to Glendale to talk about it with Ralph Russo of the AP. Ralph, the turning point was Alabama's onside kick in the fourth quarter with the game tied at 24. What led Nick Saban to make that call at that moment?
You know, he said after the game that his defense was tired. They were having a hard time stopping Deshaun Watson. It really speaks to how well Watson played in this game. It was reminiscent of that 2006 Rose Bowl with Vince Young. Saban just said, listen, we can't stop this guy. We have to change the momentum of this game. And that's how much respect he had for Watson, and that's how tough this game was for Alabama, that he pulled out what might have been the gutsiest call of his great career.
And just a few plays later, Jay Coker found O.J. Howard for a 51-yard touchdown. That was really the decisive score. Howard was the offensive player of the game. He had 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. How was he able to just shred the Clemson defense?
You know, in some ways, Clemson just seemed to forget about him. And his 2 long touchdowns were both blown coverages. He made another 63-yard catch that set up Alabama's last touchdown. In some ways, it was breakdowns by Clemson's defense, but it also shows how many weapons Alabama has. You know, Calvin Ridley, the star freshman receiver who played so well against Michigan State, wasn't a factor at all in this game. Derrick Henry was great, but O.J. Howard turned out to be the biggest weapon Alabama had. And here's a really talented tight end who was sort of an afterthought for that offense most of the year.
Finally, the last couple of years, the national championship game has been a bit of a snoozer. But with Clemson undefeated, Alabama playing so well, the atmosphere in the building, just how good was this game?
It was one of the classics. Listen, I've been covering I think this is number 12 as far as championship games going back to the BCS era. This was right up there. This was about as good as it gets. And really, for the first time during Saban's great championship run, the 4 championships in 7 years at Alabama, Alabama faced a team that was its equal. Clemson has nothing to be disappointed or ashamed about or feel ashamed about. This was a great performance by Watson, a great performance by Dabo Swinney's team. They'll be back next year because Watson is back.
It was quite a night in the desert with Alabama coming out on top. They're the national champions. Ralph Russo of the AP. Thank you, Ralph.